All right. Welcome to the 2018 CISSP Mentor Program. Oh, I forgot to start my webcam. That's a great start. Let's see. There we go. I can't tell if anybody. There we go. Hey, it's me. All right. Welcome to the 2018 CISSP Mentor Program. I'm Brad Nye. I'm the Director of Consulting Services here at FRSecure. Evan Francine, unfortunately, is not able to join us tonight. He is traveling, so you're stuck with me. And a pointer that doesn't work. Well, that's awesome. There we go. I'm making a great first impression, right? Session welcome. Don't expect too much. Just kidding. This is going to be awesome. Brian is back. I know Brittany has listened to some of the stuff that's been out there. I don't know if others have, but we have a lot of fun, right? That's one of our things is security is fun. So we're going to go through this and we're going to have fun and you're going to learn a lot. So this is what we're going to be going through. What is the mentor program? The history real quick. Evan started this in 2010. We had 6 students. That was it. Last year, well, today is the 9th class. We have 300 plus people signed up for this class. As you can see, we've got probably, what, 20?
Brad, are you sharing your screen?
Oh, you can't see my screen. Man. Thank you. Listen, I'm gonna edit that recording before.
Okay, man. I remember my first presentation.
Yeah, clearly my first presentation. So we have fun. All right. So welcome to this. It's 6 o'clock on the nose. Welcome to the CISSP Mentor Program. Again, I'm Brad Nye, Director of Consulting. Evan isn't here today. He is traveling. And it's not working again. There we go. All right. So welcome. Just don't expect too much. Just kidding. It's going to be awesome. Right? Everybody's ready, right? Online, everybody ready? Yeah. All right. So what is the CISSP Mentor Program? We're going to go through some of these things, but really the history, right? We started in 2010 with 6 students, and now we're at over 300. I think we were at, the last number I saw was about 342 people that were registered for the class. And like I said, we've got 27, 28 people in class, physically here. So this is fantastic. So we'll go through, why we do it. It's giving back, right? And we'll go through why we're doing this a little bit more. We'll have some success stories, right? We've hired personally several people out of the program who got it and fit. Last year we had 150 people online, or total, and about 15 in person. So that started, and we had about 60 that finished the program online and about 10 that made it every class. And of those, I know for sure we've endorsed 8 people that passed their CISSP through this. So, there are success stories out there, and we're here to help get you there and help fill this void of security professionals. And really, honestly, it's free, so what do you got to lose? Even if you don't take the class, this is going to be a great thing for you to just understand security. Hopefully you take the certification. Evan said we have a severe talent shortage problem in the industry, which is good news for you. And we're going to go through some of those numbers here in a little bit, and that kind of explains why we're doing this. So we have an actual agenda. We're going to do the introduction. We'll talk through the severe talent shortage problem. We'll go through the schedule and the class structure, talk about what is the CISSP. We'll talk about what book. So if you haven't bought the book already, we'll make sure you have that information. And we're going to go through Chapter 1. Introduction in the book tonight. About Evan. Evan's not here, so I can make up whatever I want. No, he is the co-founder of FRSecure. He's a really great guy. If you haven't gotten a chance to meet him, you're in for a treat. He invented Security Studio, which is our software platform that runs our FISA, which is our security assessment. This is our proprietary risk assessment. So he invented those 2 things, the FISA score, which is the outcome of it. And that's one of the ways we're working to fix the broken industry, is getting everybody to speak that same language. If we can get everyone to understand, here's your score, this means this is what your risk is, makes everyone's life a lot easier. And then Defense, which is our new vendor risk management platform. We will be rolling out based on the FISA and the FISA score. So it gives a holistic vendor risk management understanding. He was just accepted to the Forbes Technology Council. That's a really big deal. We're very proud of him for that. He's been doing this forever. He was a Cisco engineer in the early 90s, so he's older than me, which is nice. He's worked with hundreds of companies. He's written a lot. He loves writing. Can you see everything?
Can you enlarge that? They're saying it's very small. It's in presentation mode instead of full screen.
Yep. What the heck's going on here?
If you're using presentation mode, it's the wrong desktop you can share.
Is it not? Let's try this again. Is that better?
That's better. From what I'm seeing, yeah.
All right. We're gonna start over. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, we've got all that.
Right. Luckily, this is where we get all the. That's why we don't do anything like really serious, because you can work out all these bugs.
Well, they say repetition's the mother of learning, so you know.
Right. I'll be honest. So this is my second year doing the mentor program, and last year I was helping out online more than actually presenting, and we're using GoToWebinar this year, which is a new for me. I haven't used that before, so I'll blame marketing. Hi, Andy. All right, so he's been doing this for a long time. He's a Cisco engineer, worked with a lot of companies. He loves to write. He's written over 750 articles about information security. Again, the mentor program with 6 students in 2010. It was 163 last year, and now we're, like I said, I think the last number I saw was 340 plus this year. He's on Care 11 a lot. He's done a lot of television and radio appearances. You know, he was just on it on Friday. And we're on, yeah, he's on there all the time. And he's advised legal counsel in some pretty big breaches, so you might have heard of a couple of those there. That's a better picture of him. And there you go. He can't be here today. He's traveling. Evan created the slide deck, so I had to leave those in. Big announcement. He just finished the first draft of his first book. The information security industry is broken. It will be, the idea is for it to be published in June, so keep an eye out for that. That'll be, I've read some parts of it, and it's pretty good. Me, I don't have as much cool stuff as Evan. Sorry. Director of Consulting here at FRSecure, so all the assessment team, High Trust, PCI, SOC 2, VC, so a lot of the consulting side of things falls under me. I started IT doing Y2K updates with a floppy disk. So I've been doing this for a little while, not as long as Evan. I do a lot of volunteering. I do ISC Squared's Safe and Secure Online program, which is basically how to be safe and secure online for 11 to 14-year-olds. So kind of that middle school age. So going out and talking to them about how to be safe. And I work with the Wayzata School's Compass program, being a mentor for their cybersecurity program there. And I do the mentor program, the workshop series, and a lot of the security training and awareness in front of clients. So, and I'll be here most days. All right, so about FRSecure. You may have seen the picture there in our front hallway as you walked in. Very important to us. We are an information security consulting and management company, and that's all we do. Right? We don't do IT. We don't do the hands-on, here, you need to configure your firewall, we'll configure it for you. Right? We don't do that. Core services, you know, HIPAA risk analysis using the FISA, a lot of social engineering, pen testing. Our pen testers are top-notch, and Eric's going to get a big head from this, but they finished third at which capture the flag at DEF CON last year. One of the capture the flags, 150 teams or so.
Yep.
Finished third, finished second at the Wild West Hacking Fest, capture the flag. So going back this year to claim your title, right?
Go for hire.
All right. Yeah. So they're really good. We're a PCI QSA company. We do incident management. We do High Trust. We're a High Trust certified assessor company. We do a lot of SOC 2 readiness preparation, a lot of security training and awareness, and our virtual services there. because of methodology fanatics, mentoring champions, and product agnostic. So when I was telling my daughters are 12 and 10, they're asking me what I did. I told them, and they're like, "Oh, so you're a teacher?" Yeah, actually, that's a lot of that's our methodology. We want to get you guys to a place and our customers to a place where, right, we're helping them get to a place where they don't need us. We're there for them, but we can educate them and let them do the job. That's going to help everyone. And again, product agnostic. So we're not going to say, hey, you need to do firewalls, and guess what? We got on sale till Friday. We don't do that. We have 55 people here, called unicorns. That's a picture Evan put on there of unicorns. So now you know. So if you see those walking around the halls, they're our employees. All right. So severe talent shortage. This is from Evan's book, Chapter 10, Too Few Experts, right? So we see no shortage of stories about the impending doom, right? How many people have heard we don't have enough people, there's going to be a problem, right? We're seeing a lot of it. And the reality is, there's a huge talent shortage out there. So that's why we're doing this, is to try and help fill that gap, right? If you're looking at 3.5 million unfilled cybersecurity jobs by 2021, how do you start fixing that? Well, this is our way of helping, right? It's just a drop in the bucket, but if we can get, a couple hundred people a year, it'll start building on itself, and we'll just keep going from there. So this is from the ESG Issa Research Report. How many people are claiming that they have a problematic shortage of security talent? So you can see about half of the people are now at the point where they're going, yeah, there's a shortage, right? It's a legitimate problem. So there's no shortage of stories about how to fix this stuff, right? So we can hire veterans. We can bring in gray-haired hackers. That's why we have Eric here. You're welcome, Eric. Right, you'll see starting in schools and starting younger and bringing in people from other industries. So there's all these theories. How do we fix it? Well, we'll find out which works. This gives you an idea of what we're looking at. This is job postings by state for cybersecurity. So you're looking at anywhere in some of these states for up to 30,000 unfilled job postings per state. And when you look at it, you break it down, you can see it's all over the U.S., but it is, you can see where the cities are, right? There's getting the CISSP and becoming a cybersecurity expert is going to give you a lot of flexibility for your career too, right? You can go anywhere. There's no shortage of places you could go and find a job.
Not a lot in Montana. There aren't a lot of people there.
I was going to say,
half the population there.
Right. I mean, you could probably get a job out there. There's just not as many options. So but you can see, there's a lot of unfilled, even in the Twin Cities area. We're in the 800 to 40,000, which seems like a pretty big grouping there, but it is what it is. But you can see there's a lot of unfilled jobs even locally here. So when we look at this for right now, we've got CyberSec has 285,000 job openings listed right now. It's a lot of unfilled positions that one place, one source has. 746,000 in the cybersecurity workforce. So what is our supply? Well, it's really low. People are really in high demand. All right, so Cybersecurity Ventures estimates 3.5 million unfilled cybersecurity jobs by 2021. Last year there was 1 million unfilled jobs. 1 million unfilled cybersecurity jobs right now. We're going to triple that in the next couple of years because the demand is going up faster than new people can get trained and get into the industry. ISACA, which is one of the big, with the CISM, CISA, predicts global shortage of 2 million cybersecurity professionals by 2019. Kind of on pace. 1 million last year, 2 million next year. A couple of years from now, 3.5 million unfilled jobs. It's not an easy problem to fix. NASSCOM estimates India alone will need 1 million cybersecurity professionals by 2020. These are big numbers, right? That's why we're doing this. And this is a big one. Cybercrime expected to cost the world $6 trillion by 2021. That's a large chunk of change. So let's get some people trained up and try and cut that down. One of the most in-demand cybersecurity jobs is security analyst. What does a security analyst do? Yes. It depends, right? It depends on the job role, but you're expected to know a lot about security, be able to do everything in the CISSP, right? You need to do access management. You need to do identity management. You need to know all these different things. Looking at log files, running reports, doing the not as exciting stuff, unlike Eric. I just like picking on Eric because Eric lives in Reno. So he's only up here once a quarter for the quarterly meeting, which happened to be on Monday. So I get to pick on him.
Don't worry.
I'll pick on you. I don't get to see Eric very often. He's a good guy. 2012, there were 72,600 security analyst jobs in the U.S. Average salary or median earnings of $86,170. 2015, 88,880 positions, and the average or the median income went up to 90,120. So this is a good field. It's growing. It's good income, right? And you can go up to chief information security officers can reach 400,000, which I need to talk to Evan about because that is not what I'm making. 70% of cybersecurity professionals say the security skills shortage has led to an impact on their organization. And there's a little bit, well, it really goes to like the next one, but how many people here have had, you're just so busy day to day that you can't be proactive. You can't get those things in place. You're just so busy fighting fires because you're short-staffed, right? It's the same, that's what we're talking about. You can't bring anyone in to help you out because there's nobody there to bring in. So 2/3, 67% of those cybersecurity professionals claiming they're too busy with their jobs to keep up with skills development and training. How many people went to training last year for their job? Right? Not, we've got FRSecure employees and one other, right? That's the problem. You're so busy, they're just so short-staffed. You can't get approval to go away for a week because everything just is like, rah. I've been there. It's not fun. So if we can help bring up more people, help fill those positions, right? It'll make everyone's life a little easier. And then 49% of security professionals are solicited to consider other cybersecurity jobs by recruiters at least once a week. This is a big thing that organizations are facing. Sure, we can bring somebody in. How long are we going to keep them? We need a CISO, a CISO for our business. Well, you're a smaller company. How long is that person going to stick around before they get recruited to go somewhere bigger, better? So there's a lot of demand.
Smaller, better.
Or smaller, better. Yeah. To go somewhere better. So there are too many. What are the problems? So there's too many to list them all. So the big ones: bad advice. Most of it comes with good intentions. We'll go through some of the bad advice here in the next couple of slides. Most good intentions, some bad intentions. What is good security talent? So what is good security talent? Nobody can agree on what good is. We'll talk about that a little bit more as well. Supply and demand. So again, acquisition, getting somebody on. How can we retain them? And then the culture within security, information security, and as a whole. And then national and economic security. So bad advice. No shortage of bad advice. Some of it can be attributed to that talent shortage. So these are things we've heard. Well, security training and awareness is a waste of time and resources. How many people have tried to get it and heard that? Yeah, I know we've been told, no, you know what, it's just not in the budget, we don't need it, we're fine. Okay, not true, but okay. Security risk assessment is not necessary for a well-run security program. We got a great program, we do all the right things, we don't need to have an assessment. Nope, we know we're on top of it. Right, how many people go and, uh-oh, we got to answer on speakerphone.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Maybe. There we go. Yeah. So the security risk assessment. So what is the natural inclination people have if you're filling out a self-assessment? If you're kind of on the fence one way or the other, which way are you going to go? You're going to give yourself the benefit of the doubt, right? Guess what? Pen testers, hackers, they're not going to give you the benefit of the doubt, right? We need to have that independent assessment to understand really and truly where you're at, and what do we need to work on, right? And this is one we go through all the time with companies. They're like, oh no, we're fine, we don't need to do that. We'll end up doing it, and they're like, yeah, we had no idea, right? It's very eye-opening, but that's kind of the attitude out there. A lot of places is, no, we're good. We've got a CISO. We've got security. We've got all the technology. We don't need an assessment to know where we're at. You have to have an information security degree to become a good security professional. It's not true. We'll talk about that here in a minute. And then this is a big one. Information security is an IT issue, not a business issue. Right? That's not true. It is a business issue. Right? What kills me is when you look at companies, you've got, they do financial risk assessments. They know before they spend any big amount of money, or they're doing investments or insurance risk, they've got people that handle that. They know where they're at. Comes to security, information security, and they go, that's IT. No. Whose name is going to be on the news when the company is breached? Right? The executives of that company. So trying to figure out and get through to people that this is a business issue. That's one of the big problems we're facing. So when you've got that bad advice, you need to consider the source, right? Good way to keep healthy is to eat Chinese food at the Chinese restaurant. Keep that in mind. Who's giving you that advice, and kind of keep that in mind. So what is good security talent? Everybody remembers this Equifax breach that just happened, and everybody's going after the CISO because she had a music degree. So what makes a good information security professional? There is no consensus about what makes a good security professional. Equifax breach noted Susan Malden had a music degree, therefore she must have been unqualified. So they're saying that something she did 25 years ago in college. How many people here have a security degree? 2 out of 30 in the room, right? Not including myself. I don't have one. I actually don't have a degree. That doesn't make a good security professional. When I went to college, that wasn't a thing. That's a fairly recent development. So another story there from MarketWatch, just grilling CEO of Equifax and saying, hey, why did you hire somebody with a music degree? Again, we just showed in this room, we got, like I said, about 30 people in here. 2 people have a information security degree. Does that disqualify everybody else in the room? No, not at all. So, again, so what makes that good information security professional? Some believe you can't be good without a technical degree. Others say you can't be good without those certifications, CISSP, CISM. And there are thousands of awesome practitioners who have no security degree whatsoever. Again, I don't have a college degree. I worked. I just went. College wasn't right for me at the time. So I got a job, and I started with Y2K bugs, with a floppy disk, walking around to classrooms at a community college, writing down what computers were in that room and when they were patched, and worked my way up. So what's good? We don't know. There is no consensus about that. So here at FRSecure, we grow the unicorns. 3 things that make a unicorn, those are those intangibles you can't teach. Do they get it? Do they have the right attitude? Right? When you're talking to them, you know, some people just get it, some people don't. You can kind of get that sense of it when that's what we're looking for. Is the culture fit correct? Is that personality correct? Those are the things you really can't teach. It's just who people are. Education, that's book smart. So that could be your college and your degree programs, in-person instruction, mentorship, certification preparation. So I've got a ton of certifications. I've done the education. I've done a lot of that work. So I've got the education piece there. I just don't have that formal degree. And then experience. So that's the street smarts. And that's really where the rubber hits the road, right? That's in the trenches, doing it, being there, and just learning. The book says this. Here's what reality is. Just because Microsoft says to do this, and then it doesn't work. Everybody should be raising their hand on that one, right? So the best way to gain experience is by doing it. It's just the reality. So those 3 ingredients are not mutually exclusive, and there is no one right way to get and grow that unicorn. There is a mixture at FRSecure with our analysts of what their backgrounds are, where they're coming from, and honestly, that's what makes it so great. And I can go to Eric, and he's got a whole different background than I do, and I go to him with a problem, and he's going to look at it from a different perspective, and give that view that maybe I had never thought of, and that happens all the time. We're very collaborative. So for us, defining good is a combination of those 3 things. Right? Do you have the intangibles? If you have those intangibles, if you got the culture, if you understand it, if you kind of get it, and you've got the right personality and approach to it, we can teach you the education. You can gain the experience. So for us, that's how we define good, is looking at those 3 things and just kind of taking each person individually and figuring out what those 3 mix together as. So we've got supply, demand. So we don't have enough information security people. Acquisition, we can't find enough good information security people for ourselves. Retention, we can't keep them, right? We just saw 49% of security professionals are being solicited on a weekly basis by recruiters. It's really hard to keep people. And then culture, and we'll talk about this, but we have a bro culture, and it's a problem that's not helping things. So something that we're fully aware of here. So when we look at supply and demand, there's 2 sources to kind of bring people in. Right? We've got people willing to change their careers, and then younger people just coming in. Right? And when we look at the career changers, so one of the challenges, right? If you're interested in getting into information security, where would you start? So you say, oh, right, we have to have a college degree. Well, that's going to run you $20,000 to $60,000. And that's to get you an entry-level job, right? That's a pretty significant investment to change it over. Or you could do your certification. Well, to train to pass the CISSP, for the most part, if you do some of those online, some of the other boot camps, those are $3,000 to $5,000 plus $700 for the actual exam itself. These are some pretty significant roadblocks to people wanting to change and come into the industry. I don't know a lot of people that could drop and do a $20,000, $60,000 degree while they're still working, or just take time off and do it, or can drop in and take that time to study and spend that kind of money. So cost is a huge barrier to entry, and like I said, most people just don't have that around. Younger people is another way to come in. Right? There's just not enough education options. That is getting better, but it's taking time to ramp up. We're not seeing it widespread. We work with a lot of school districts, and we're starting to see more cybersecurity classes being taught, especially like in high school. And some of the ones are teaching things like Kali Linux and some of these commands and getting them engaged and going. But you're only looking at 25, maybe 30 kids. So it just takes time, right? It's just a bottleneck there. So remember, this is the education piece, and education is only one of those 3 ingredients. That's not the be-all, end-all. Again, early education, schools are starting programs and they are working. There's a lot of examples out there. So this is kind of that, how do we fix that, right? We just said cost is a huge barrier. So what are the alternatives? We have the mentor program here. It's free. Yay. Okay, you don't have to. SANS Cyber Aces Online has some good stuff. Cybrary has a very good CISSP recording. It's about 16 hours, very high level, but I'll be honest, when I took it, the CISSP, when I was studying, the Cybrary one kind of just connected a couple of dots for me that I was really struggling with some of the concepts. So it's a really good resource to go back, kind of listen to again and kind of help use as filling in those holes. It by itself, I don't think would be enough, but it was a really good additional resource for me. And then cyber degrees. Again, mentorship, we'll do it, but that takes a lot of time and effort, and you're giving up a lot of yourself. And there's only so many I can mentor myself, right? If it's a 1-to-1, 2-to-1, right? So we'll do it, but it takes a lot of work, and there's no single program that says here's how we do it. Just you help out where you can. Hire for the intangibles, train and educate for the rest. That's kind of one of the things, like I said, that we look for is that intangibles. So we can train up on education and experience. That's kind of the easy part, as you were, right? It's the intangibles are what we want to look for that culture fit, the personality. And then internships. So they're becoming more popular, but we need more. Again, there's only so much we can do. We have an intern program here where we help out. We had 4 interns last year. I have no idea how many we're going to have this year. But again, it's 4 interns. That's great. That's just a drop in the bucket. So we need more of that. So the industry is not always conducive to attracting and retaining the talent. Here's the problem. A lot of people burn out, right? There's such a shortage. It's like, I can't do it. That's a problem. So, and then some of the results are gender inequity and minority inequity. So women are 49.56% of the world's population, make up 11% of the information security workforce. Why are we that's a huge resource pool. Why is this not being, why are we not going after it, right? So we've identified that, we're working towards it. And then 26% of the workforce in information security is non-Caucasian or white male. So only 26% is not white male. And we've got a huge void that could be filled, and it hasn't been addressed. So how do we do that? Part of that is that bro culture, right? It's very male dominated. A great quote from Ellison and Williams, right? It's a very male-dominated culture. It could be a little more crass, a little more rough, and maybe females don't like that, and it's off-putting. That's not good, right? Again, we've talked about, we're looking at shortages of 3.5 million jobs.
For the record, some males don't like that either, and
Yeah.
find it off-putting as well.
That's great. But yeah, it's a huge problem we're facing, and we need to change that. And it's not just the people in the industry that contribute to it. Customers, clients, and others don't necessarily, they always see it, information security as a male dominated. So we've had that where we've had a female analyst on, and the client defers to the male on the call, regardless of position. And that's a problem. We got to change the mindset. That's going to take time. It didn't start in our industry, and it's not exclusive to our industry either. I think part of it goes back to a lot of people coming into information security come out of IT, kind of a natural progression. And we're seeing very similar types of percentages in IT in general. So kind of we're drawing from a pool that's even already kind of unbalanced. It doesn't help. So we need to change that, and that's part of what we're trying to do. So how can we do that? Promote, participate in more diversity initiatives and programs. Studies show more diverse work groups produce more creative and better results. The bigger experience base you can get, the better the end result is going to be. It's just the reality of it. So we have some resources listed for women. If anyone online or in class that wants that, the CIN Cyber Talent Emerging Academy for Women, Computer Science for Cybersecurity, summer program for high school women, Women's Society of Cyberjutsu. I honestly don't know what that is, but that sounds cool. And then Women in Cybersecurity. So we have some really good resources that are out there that hopefully can help. How else do we do this? We promote and participate in more diversity initiatives and programs. Again, that study the diverse work groups. It's more healthier for the organization. You're going to get a better result. And then you have the International Consortium of Minority Cybersecurity Professionals for any of the minorities out there. And honestly, let's be realistic, industry as a whole is going to benefit, right? I love working with all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. I don't know everything. I'm learning from our other analysts and our clients all the time. So the more we can kind of bring this in and be inclusive, the better we're going to be as a whole. All right, on to the fun stuff. Yes?
Can we do the shades?
Oh,
Sure, thanks.
fancy. You probably see it online too. Yeah, very cool. All right, syllabus, kind of, sort of. We've got a class schedule. So what we're going to be doing is tonight is the course introduction and Q&A. Thursday, I will be leading for Domain 1 for Security and Risk Management. It's a little bit longer domain, so it'd probably be a good idea to read that ahead. We'll go over that at the end here. But I think, did you get this in an email with the breakdown? No? Okay. Yes? No? You should have. No?
Mike said he got it and I didn't get it, so.
Andy. Geez, Andy. He's on there, so that's great. That's even better. I can't say anything back. So make sure we get this. So the plan will be, and we'll go through this at the end, but the homework will be basically be prepared for the next class. Pretty easy. Come prepared. But yeah, you'll see who's going to be leading each one. One of the things we did, so boatload of information to memorize. You're going to appreciate those breaks. We broke it. We gave you 3 breaks. One of the things we got from feedback the past couple of years is it's just too much. If you miss one or you fall behind, you just can't catch up. And we've had people drop out because they had something come up and they missed one class and you just can't get caught up. So what we've done is we've built in 3 breaks and what we feel are appropriate kind of spots throughout. Gives you guys a chance to catch your breath, get caught up if anything happens. If you do fall behind, real life happens. Work happens, family happens. This will hopefully give you guys a chance to get caught up and stay engaged the entire program. So we do have 419, 53, and 524. That will mean the program will end on May 31st. And that final one will be kind of that last minute tips and tricks. Last year we used FRSecure's their online test program. They rebranded it. I don't know what it is this year, but we're going to reach out to them again and actually go through sample questions as a group. So hopefully that'll go through again. Evan or myself will lead all the classes. We'll switch it up a little bit. That way you don't get tired of listening to me talk or listening to Evan talk. And honestly, it gives both of us a break as well so that I can talk the next day. We're going to ease into things this week. We're going to do this introduction. We're going to do Thursday will be Domain 1, Security and Risk Management. And then that's when we really get going. So this is your easy week. Every class will be structured the same. We'll do a brief recap of what we talked about the previous class. We'll have any questions. So, hey, did you have any questions as you were going back through it? Right, we're in the class. You're just going to fire hose, just constant. Here we go. Next week's or Thursday's slides. I think we've got 68 pages in the book to go through. That's a lot of information to go through. We tried to keep it to about 40 pages per class. Next week we got 68, or next Thursday, next class we have 68. So as you're digesting this, we'll give you a chance to answer some or ask some questions so that you get that. We'll have a quiz about the previous class. Just a short, maybe 5 questions, see how everybody is doing. Talk about any current events that are relevant. You'll listen to us talk, and then you'll get homework. The homework, again, is going to be reading through the book, being prepared, coming to us with questions for the next class. And it's a lot. This is a really good book, and it's one of the shorter ones, and it's still 600-something pages long. So it's a lot of reading, a lot of information. So one thing to remember, we are here to help. You can reach out to us at any time. We have an email, CISSP Mentor at FRSecure.com. So as you're going through it at any time, you can email that. It'll go to both Evan and myself. And depending on how many questions we get, we'll probably just send that to other people. But
Brad, there's an online question.
Yep.
With regard to the recent changes in the CISSP, this program, how does that relate to that?
That's a great question, and we will get to it.
Okay.
So that's a good question. And yeah, we will get to that here in a few more slides. We've had this in the past where people wanted to do a study group on the days outside of the class. If you guys want it, you need a place to do it, you need somebody to hang out, we'll try and make that happen here, or kind of act as an organizer if you guys want to do a study group. So it's another option for you. We want to help and give you the confidence to take and pass the exam. So that's the end goal for us, is we want everybody here to be at the end of this at a point where they know what they need to do and they're ready and they're going to be able to pass that exam. Again, and all content will be made available to all students. So afterwards we'll send out an email. You'll get a link. The video will be recorded and put on YouTube after I edit it for this one. And I'll edit that out. Any slides, handouts, anything that we talk about in the class, we'll make sure you get a link for that. Usually they get those out within 24 hours. So this will be posted, and you should get an email here in the next, by tomorrow. All right, so what is the CISSP? This is kind of important since you're all here. Let's make sure we're on the right track, right? It is a certified information system security professional. It is maintained by the International Information Systems Security Certification Consortium, or ISC squared. So we'll just call it ISC squared from now on. This is to test your knowledge, or really, honestly, it's memorization and understanding of the Common Body of Knowledge, CBK. So they publish their Common Body of Knowledge, and that is what the exam is based on. And we will talk about that here in a second. There it is. Effective April 15th, 2018, there was a new exam outline. So at the end of the day, well, it's a mile wide and 2 inches, maybe an inch deep. So there's a lot of information that we're going to cover, but we don't go super in depth on a lot of it, right? You just need to know a little bit about a lot of stuff. So what we're going to do, I think the biggest value to this is going to be us going, here's what you should focus on. Here's what you need to know to pass that exam, right? Here's each of the domains. So maybe you don't need to go into all the different cipher types, but you need to know how to tell the difference between streaming or a block cipher. What are those differences? Because that's what they're going to ask. So we're going to help you with, here's what you need to know. Again, I think the kind of the big one was the Sean Harris book. It's 1,300 pages. You don't need to memorize 1,300 pages. It's a great reference, but we'll help you understand what exactly you do need to focus on. The 2015 CBK was updated in April 2015. 8 domains. We'll talk about that. And again, they're about to release here next week the new CBK. Don't worry about it. From my perspective, I actually studied on the previous version to the 2015 and took the 2015 exam. The core concepts are going to be the same. It was just how they were organized, kind of updating for some of the newer technologies, taking out some of the old stuff that's no longer relevant. And we'll touch on that as well. But, you're going to get 90% of it, 95% of it doesn't change. It's really just kind of reorganizing it and kind of keeping it fresh and up to date because technology changes so fast. You can see, here's the previous, on the left is the 2015 CBK, and on the right is the new one that's going to be coming out. Domain 3 is now security architecture and engineering. So there you go. That's the difference, right? And it's now identity access IAM, and they added that. But for the most part, now it's really not changing. And they went from 10 to 8. They didn't just say we're no longer covering those other 2 domains. They just restructured that information into a more a cleaner method, right? They had a lot of duplication, so let's just put that to where it needs to be. This is one of the big things is the domain weights changed. So you can look at it, but this is how they're going to weight the exam. So when you take it, this is the rough percentages of questions you're going to get. All very close. Yes. Yeah. So the question was links to the slide decks. Yes, that'll be in that that email. I think we'll send it out as a PDF, but you'll get the slide deck. No, you have to actually remember all the URLs. Right fast. I'm going to start flipping through it. But yeah, so it gives you an idea of where that is. Again, 10% to 15%. There's really not a whole lot that you can go. That's only like 2 or 3%. I can just kind of ignore that. You got to know all of it. The latest official information is at issquared.org/certification/CISSP. So make sure you do go there and read about it. Like I said, you can go to that site and you'll understand it. There really isn't a whole lot changing from what I've seen. Obviously, when the new CDK comes out, we'll see what that says, but I would be surprised if there was massive fundamental changes to it. So 4 steps to becoming a CISSP. You have to meet the eligibility requirements. You have to actually schedule your exam, and you have to pass the exam, and then you have to agree to the code of ethics and get a current CISSP to endorse you. So pretty straightforward. To qualify for the eligibility, you have to have 5 years cumulative paid full-time experience in 2 or more of the 8 domains. And they do ask you when you fill it out, when you pass the exam and apply to become a CISSP, you do have to say, here's my job, here's the domain it was in, and here's how many years of experience I have in it. So you have to be able to go through that. Yes?
What if you're self-employed?
That's fine. If you've been doing it, then you're good. I don't think that would be, you're getting paid for it, I hope. So that'd be fine. So if you don't have enough work experience, there's 2 ways to overcome it. First is having a 4-year degree that I believe takes 1 year of requirements away. So you only need 4 years for that. I think that's what it is. I don't remember.
I know that.
Is it what?
It's 2 years for college, 3 years for a master's degree. So
There you go.
you can't double dip and do both. It's either, it's one or the other.
2 years for a college degree or 3 years for a master's. So you do get some, they give you some way there. Thank you, Brittany.
You're welcome.
The second one would be to take and pass the CISSP and earn an Associate of IC² designation. So what that says is I have the knowledge, I've passed it, I just don't meet those work requirements yet. You then have 6 years to actually accumulate that 5 years of experience in the 2 domains. And one thing people go, well, 5 years in 2 domains? I mean, I have to have 10 years of experience? No, it can be a concurrent, right? You're doing it at the same time. So it's funny, when I did mine, I was like, oh, geez, am I going to have enough? And then I had combined with all the different domains, like 30 years or something, because I'd been doing these different, 3 or 4 domains for 10 years each. You'd be surprised when you start actually filling it out and thinking about it. You're like, oh, yeah, no, we're good. Scheduling the exam, you have to create an account at Pearson VUE. So it's the only way to do it is through Pearson VUE at one of the testing centers. Once you've set up your account and are ready to register, you have to complete the exam agreement. You're going to agree to the truth about your assertions regarding professional experience, and you're legally committing to the adherence of the ISC² Code of Ethics, which we will go through, and you need to know. So we'll go through that next class, I think. You have to review the candidate background questions and then pay the exam fee. Again, it's $700. And if you fail, it's $700 the next time. So, so when you get to the exam, you have, they've actually changed that. It's now you have 3 hours to complete the exam, maximum of 150 questions. And you must have a score of 700 points or greater. So you do find out right away if you passed or not. So that's good. There is a scoring exam facts. We'll go through this a little bit more as well. But it is using computerized adaptive testing. So you can have up to 250 questions. You could have fewer if you answer those questions correctly and they go, yep, they know what they're talking about. If you're not taking it in the English, you will still be using the linear fixed form exam. And that was the old way, 6 hours and 250 questions. So if you can take it in English, you can do the computerized one, it's half the amount of testing. That sounds like a good idea to me if you can do it. And then you need the Code of Ethics and the endorsement. Again, you need to subscribe to the IC² Code of Ethics and have the application endorsed. So you can do that online. Say I passed the exam, and you ask a current CISSP. Evan and myself are more than happy to endorse if needed, if you want somebody to. And then basically you fill it out. You say, hey, I passed. Will you endorse me? We'll say, sure, send over the resume. We'll take a look at it, and yep, good. Here's our CISSP number, and make sure, and it's all online. It's really nice. And you have 9 months from the date of the exam to complete those steps. I would say do it as quickly as you can. Why not? This is the book we're using, the 3rd edition from Eric Conrad. Again, even though the CBK is changing, the core content is not. Right? We're still looking at, for the most part, it's been a really long day. I just completely lost my train of thought. Like core concepts and stuff, they don't change, right? We just need to know these things, and they'll update technology. They'll get rid of some of the old stuff. I'm wondering if they'll keep like the orange book, some of the phone phreaking, stuff like that. That just doesn't happen anymore. We'll see how that goes. Some information, so this will be good, so you can pull it up a lot of places. I would say get it in Adobe Acrobat format through, I think we got it through Elsevier, but you can print it out, or then you can cut and paste and copy into your notes and kind of make notes as you go. It's a really easy way to go. I can't read the E format. It just doesn't work for me, but I still took that, and you can still print it out as needed, read it, and then you still have the digital copy to make your notes as needed. But lots of ways to get it. So make sure you have that book by the next class. All right. Everybody excited, ready to dig in? Still awake? We're over halfway through the slides. This is good. Making it easy on everyone. So, Chapter 1 in the CISSP study guide: how to prepare for the exam, how to take the exam, and stick in with it. So, how do we prepare for the exam? Well, first of all, the mentor program here, we are here to facilitate and get you through this. There's a lot of ways to prepare. There is no right way. Note cards, notes as we go. Evan's method is the 3 times the book read. So read it through the first time, just read it. You're going to be confused. It's going to be a lot of things that you're like, what? Stick through it, get through it the first time. Second time, read it again, focus on the structure and the concepts. So start paying a little bit more attention, go a little more in depth. Third time, really focus on that mastery and memorization. Personally, I read Sean Harris cover to cover twice. I do not recommend that. However, I also didn't have the benefit of a mentor program or anything. I was not in the Twin Cities, and there was only like 2 other CISSPs in the city I was in. So I didn't have a lot of resources. I wish I'd known then. So read through it, understand it. First time, just try and absorb as much as you can. You're not going to understand everything. That's fine, right? the plan would be, I would say, read through it the first time before the class. Use that class kind of sort of that second read through. We're going to focus on the structure and the concepts in the class, and then go back and read it again and really focus on that mastery and understanding it. Yes?
So between the mentorship program and the study guide, are there any other external resources that we would likely need in order to cover all the material that would be on the test?
That should cover everything. So the question for others online is, between the mentor program and the book, the study guide, would there be any other third-party resources or external resources? And no, I don't think so. There is some practice tests, and we'll go through that as we get a little closer. Another good one, as a kind of a cheat sheet as we're going towards the end, we'll talk about it more, is the Sunflower Study Guide. So we'll be able to provide that for you guys as a link as well. It's I can't remember who put it. A CISSP put it together, and it's a phenomenal kind of last minute cheat sheet of cram session type of thing. But we'll provide you links for downloads for all that stuff as we get through it. But honestly, the only thing really that I would say from a cost perspective would be the practice tests. So other than that, we should be able to get you there. We'll see. So how to take the exam? We kind of touched on it. It used to be 6 hours and 250 questions, and it was not fun. That was miserable. Sitting through 250 questions is a test of endurance that nobody should ever have to do. Just saying. I had to go through it. Now it's 3 hours and up to 150 questions. So this book does have the older version. They just updated to the adaptive test in, I believe, December. So it's relatively new. We actually had 2 analysts go and do the adaptive test last month, and they said it was great. I'm jealous. That's not fair.
I said it was great.
Well, I mean, compared to the prior version, and what's funny is I've seen people, some of the older established CISSPs, well, I had to take 6 hours and 250 questions. That's not fair. I mean, I agree it's not fair. I'm just jealous that I had to do that, not that what the new test isn't as thorough or doesn't show the mastery. I don't think that's true. Computer-based testing now at Pearson VUE. Used to be paper and pencil. That was what Evan did, so he is old. I will say I did take the CISM using the Scantron bubble form, and that's, again, like 250 questions, and you have 4 hours. I was super paranoid because they started the program with, and we got one through, and they got all the way through, and they finished, and they were one short. They'd answered 249, and they didn't know where they had missed it. Like, So I was checking every 10 questions, make sure I was on the right page. So CBT is awesome. You guys that's a big step forward. You're looking at 4 types of questions. First of all, you got multiple choice. You're going to have 4 options. Almost every time you're going to look at it and be able to eliminate 2 of them immediately. And we'll go through that as we're starting going through the practice questions and really diving into it. You'll start to see that. And as we cover this material, you'll understand it's like, oh, yeah, those 2 I don't have to worry about that. Now you're down to 2, right? We'll walk through some of the strategies for that. And then they have this advanced innovative. So that's the second type, but there's actually 3 different types. So they'll have a scenario. They'll give you a scenario, and you have to answer questions based on that scenario. A drag and drop. So you've got to drag and drop to the right, this picture, where does it belong on this image? And then a hotspot. So you have to fill in different questions, different spots within a diagram or within the scenario. All right. So that was chapter 1. There we go. Everybody's still awake, right? Okay, so we do have some bonus stuff. So chapter 1, really, like I said, we're really easing you into this. So that's really what we're talking about, is how are we going to take the test. That's what the chapter 1 in the book covers. Bonus for you guys, what is information security? So this is a question for you. I don't know if you follow Evan on LinkedIn. He posted this. How do you define information security? And it was really interesting reading all the answers. a question that the industry struggles with, and reading those answers, it was pretty clear. There's very few people that had the same answer. You just had, dozens and dozens and dozens of different answers. So from our standpoint, information security is managing risks to the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information using administrative, physical, and technical controls. That is the definition of information security. That's easy, right? Everybody's got it. You'll remember that. Evan will be online with us on Thursday, so I expect everybody to shout that back so he can hear her. So when we talk about what is risk, again, a question for you, and again, another question our industry struggles with. So don't forget it. Risk is the likelihood of something bad happening and the impact if it did. Okay. So when you look at it, what is the likelihood of a flood happening, and what would be the impact to the organization if that happened? What is the impact, or what is the likelihood of a blizzard shutting down the city? What is the impact to the organization if it happened? So we need to understand and identify all the different potential threats to the organization, or to the, let's just say to the organization. What is the likelihood of that happening? What is the risk, right? Flood, insider trading, ransomware, the list goes on and on. But what is the risk? What is the likelihood of that happening? And what's the impact if that happens? Security principles, these are ours. I think they're pretty good. Business is in business to make money. That is really important, right? We understand that security can't stand in the way of a business making money. Doesn't matter if the security is good, if the business goes out of business because everything's so locked down, right? It's kind of a seesaw. We can be super secure so we don't have any risk, but nobody can do their job. Well, we're out of balance. Or we could be wide open so everybody can do everything they want, but now we've got a huge risk to the organization because everybody is the local admin. So the trick is finding the balance between security and the business being able to do their job, the people doing their job, because again, business is in business to make money. Information security is a business issue. Business continuity plan is not an IT issue. That is a business continuity plan, right? The disaster recovery plan is the technical IT focused portion of recovery in a business continuity plan. HR is not an IT issue, but we've got to look at, is HR doing background checks? Are they doing training? Are they doing the right things to reduce risk for new employees? Right? Do we have a risk governance? Do we have risk management in place? IT can help out with that, and they're going to have to, because right, the custodians of the technology that's allowing the business to do their job. The business has to make those decisions. What is the acceptable risk? They have to accept, oh, it's going to cost X amount to fix it or to eliminate this risk, versus, well, this is what happens if it goes down, right? That's a business decision. Information security is fun. This has been fun, right? Yeah. So overwhelming. Everyone's awake, right? I didn't even have to crank the AC down to keep everyone up. That'll come though, don't worry. People are the biggest risk, right? When we're doing a pen test, if we're doing an internal pen test, we just say, look, let's just assume we got it with phishing. Why are we going to waste everyone's time and money to phish someone when it's going to happen, right? That's the biggest vector on a breach is through phishing.
People are clickers.
People are clickers, right? Yeah.
Most of those things have a 10% click-through rate, which is shocking considering most major ad campaigns only have about 1.5%.
Yeah, 10% is probably pretty low. It's probably closer to the mid-20s.
Last number I've looked at.
I think for ours, we're at like 18% click-through. It's for when we do a phishing campaign against.
The better crafted message, the more response.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep. Yeah.
No way it's going up to 6 trillion in 2020, right? That's when the Russians finally cracked grammar.
Yeah. So.
Not a requirement for click.
Yeah. We actually did one where we were working with a customer, and working with our contact, and it said, this is the draft of the phishing campaign, so that they knew, and they approved it, and we accidentally sent it out with that, and we still got 12% click-through rate, even though it said at the bottom, this is a draft for the phishing campaign, do not click. So, big one, compliant and secure are different. A lot of people do checkbox compliance. That does not mean you're secure, right? Kind of our goal here is we're going to get you to compliance through proper security. That's a very different approach than saying, yep, we're doing it. Yep, we're doing it. That doesn't mean you're doing it right. So kind of the difference there. Number 6, there is no common sense in information security. That is very true. Can't tell you how many times we've seen things where you just go, I don't even know. So I'm sure everybody here has had those, and everyone online has had those types of stories where you're just like, really? I can't believe, okay. Secure is relative, right? Secure is going to be a risk appetite for the organization, right? You could say we're totally secure because we're going to accept certain risks. We're okay with our secure level, whereas another organization, again, in a different industry, banking, healthcare, finance, insurance, they're going to have higher requirements for secure than maybe a manufacturing or printing would. Information should drive business. It should not be the roadblock to business, right? It goes back to the first one where a business is in business to make money. And again, information security is not one size fits all. This is not a black and white issue. There are so many shades of gray. Can't really tell where one starts and the next begins. And unfortunately, there is no easy button. So really quit looking for it. This is hard work. Right? It's a lot of work. And it doesn't stop. It's not like you do it once and you go, hey, we're secure. I don't have to worry about that anymore. It's not how it is, right? So keep in mind, there is no easy button. All right. Evan hooked me up with an easy slide deck. We flew through that. So that's it. Again, excited we get to be here, be part of this. It's going to be a rewarding experience. It will be very hard. Do not give up. It is absolutely worth it. I can't tell you how many times you're studying at midnight going, I can barely keep awake. We've got stories of people that woke up the next day asleep on the book. It's not exciting material. Let's be honest. But you have to know it, and at the end of the day, it is absolutely worth that sacrifice of going through this and doing it. All right. Homework for Thursday. Get the book if you don't have it. You'll have to read through chapter 1, pages 1 through 10. I would highly recommend doing a preview and reading through chapter 2. Hang on. And then we're going to be covering chapter 2, security and risk management, on Thursday. So now we got some online questions.
I have an online question. How does information security drive business? Can you give an example?
That's a hard question. This is supposed to be an easy week. Joe.
We have a lot of customers that won't do business with us unless we have our security in place.
That's a good one. Yeah. So
Can you repeat that?
So one of the attendees here said, they have a lot of customers that won't do business with them unless they have that security in place. So you're going to have client customer requirements to be secure. The other thing would be, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a direct correlation, but what would be the negative impact if there was a breach, and what would be the impact to the organization from a financial or reputational standpoint? If you're on the news, how's that going to go for you?
It's going to destroy your reputation.
Right. So that should be driving that. That's a risk that you need to keep aware of. So security should be driving to say, we don't want to be the ones on the news. It's a really good way to put it. Again, client requirements, keeping ahead of it, right? So hacking is social engineering. It's path of least resistance. So we want to be driving it so that when they get to us, there's no glaring errors. They're going to move on to an easier target.
I was just gonna say, we have a tendency to talk about what hits the news, but for a small business that's never going to be on the news, they still have to go out and tell their customers.
Yeah.
And they have to do it face to
Right.
face a lot of times.
So that was the comment was, right, even for a small business that won't be on the news, having to tell your customers that you were breached and their information has been exfiltrated and having to do that face to face, they're not going to come back. We've done that, law firms, for example, right? I don't want to, what customers are going to, or what clients are going to come to you if it's found out that your client and case information was breached and has been leaked.
You might have legal damages that will bankrupt the small business.
Yep.
You don't have insurance.
Yeah, and then even insurance is primarily, cyber insurance is going to cover the investigation. It's not going to cover, it's going to cover answering the phone calls that come in from all your clients, because you're a small business. You don't have, hundreds of people on a call center to answer all those calls coming in going, what happened? Right? They're not going to cover the resumption of business. How are you going to come back up and recover from this? They're going to cover things like the investigation and the kind of that handling the call center functionality of it. That's a lot of what that covers.
Probably not gonna come back from a big enough breach.
Right. And yeah, reality is you're probably not going to come back from a big enough breach.
Different states and territories have breach notification laws.
Yep.
And you're talking about $200 per notification. So the size of your breach severely impacts what you can get through. I mean, if you breach with just 1,000 PII records, you're talking about $250,000.
Yep.
Most breaches aren't that small.
Again, so a couple of thousand PII records, you're looking at $250,000 in just to clean it up notification. That's the cost per record. And again, that doesn't even cover the reputational hit or the loss of income and revenue for people going, I'm out. I'm not doing business with you. There's other alternatives. Yep. Any other online questions?
I've answered most of those.
Anyone else? No. Brittany?
2 questions.
Yes.
Will you jump back to the schedule slide?
Oh, good Lord.
And then while you're doing this, the quizzes that you have, reviewing the previous class, will they be test questions, like sample test questions from the CISSP, or just like conceptual yes, no, true,
So some of what we'll do is, there are quizzes in the book that are good examples of that. So some of it will be that. We'll pull sample questions from other sources as well. So it will be sample test questions.
Okay, cool.
Can I pull up the slide? Yes, I can. Maybe. Oh, all right, forget it. I'm going to blame Evan since he's not here for the slide deck not behaving how I want. Anybody buying that? All right. There's the schedule. Yes.
Do you have a practice test that you could recommend that we could take now to assess where we're at?
There might be a full one in the back of the book. I think there's at least one, maybe 2. Yeah, that would be a good place to start. Again, it was CCSSecure.org is who I use. They've got really good resources online, good forum, and I don't know the new URL off the top of my head for their CCSecure, CCCURE.org. It's a really good resource, and they have a really good, it's a subscription to do their online test, but I did that almost exclusively, and I felt the actual CISSP questions were easier than the ones on the practice exam. And what happens is they get CISSPs, you get CPEs, continuing education, for submitting these questions. So you get people submitting questions to that, user-created questions. So I thought it was really very realistic. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Just a recommendation.
Yes,
I think
Brittany.
you should probably retake the exam, just so that you can get a sense of what the environment is like.
I will maintain my CPEs. I will not have to do that again. Yes.
There are a lot of certifications in IT. You have to retest every so often to keep your certification valid. Do you not have to do that with this?
You don't have to retest, but you have to maintain 40 CPEs minimum per year with a minimum of 120 over 3 years. So you have to go online and track it. You go and log into ISC Squared and track your CPEs. That could be things like training classes, listening to, there's certain podcasts that they have listed on their site that qualify for that, online webinars, things like that. So yeah, you have to maintain a minimum of 40 per year.
And I'm sure there's still a fee.
It's not that bad. $85 a year, something like that. It's really not bad. But yes, there is a fee. But you know, $85 to have that, it's really not that big. Yeah. You can write it. I think you can write that off on your taxes, right? Any CPAs? I don't know.
I don't know, but I'm gonna do it off your tax advice.
That is poor risk management right there. But if you're okay with it, go for it. Any other questions online? I'll give people a chance.
A number of questions with regard to the CPE
Okay.
filing, as far as can you CISSA and CISSP.
So
Yeah, you can double dip.
yeah, between like the ISACA has the CISA, CISM. They do have different requirements. I believe ISACA doesn't accept the webinar or podcasts as CPEs, which is awesome because then you have to maintain 2 different lists of what you've done. But there's a lot of double dipping that you can do. So if you go to an ISACA sponsored webinar, it would also count as a CPE for your CISSP. So you can count that for both. Any other questions? Everybody's ready to go home? You got another 40 minutes to ask questions. Otherwise, we're done. That's all the slides I had. This is your easy week, so. Yes, Brittany. I like giving Brittany a rough
Yeah.
time.
Shirley, if anyone wants a tour of our office, I can show people around.
We can do it.
So I'm assuming, we were talking before class with regard to this counting as CPE. That's one of the questions being asked online.
This counts
So-
like SOCA CPUs.
So it will not count for your CISSP CPEs. You have to have been endorsed and approved and have the CISSP, then you can start accumulating it. If you have other CISA for ISACA or some of the others, this should count for CPEs towards that. Anyone else in class? Last chance?
We actually have somebody in England taking this class right now, so they just said it's 1:20 a.m. in England.
Go to bed. Wow, that's dedicated.
Dedicated.
Enjoy the early evening.
That's what I do. Have a pint.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone online. I appreciate everyone showing up tonight.
If anyone would like a tour,
Yeah.
we have a pretty cool office.